The C-reactive protein is the one that cardiologists monitor quite regularly. It is a measurement of vascular inflammation. That's the inflammation that's going on inside of our circulation. And it's the bad inflammation, because activated vascular inflammation is the inflammation that causes plaque formation inside of our vessels. And it's primarily happening through foam cells and the lipoprotein LDL particles. It's the oxidated LDL particles that become foam cells that then become plaque.
The bad guys.
The plaque inside of our arteries and in our veins. And that's absolutely what we want to avoid. Curcumin is one of the best supplements for long-term healthy cardiovascular health.
Welcome back to Ultra Life Today. I'm Josh Bellieu. I'm sitting here with Adam Payne, the CEO of Ultra Botanica, lead inventor of this unique technology called LPS, or liquid protein scaffold. It was birthed out of Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation. Adam and some of his awesome colleagues over there. We've continued to innovate over the years. Here we are, 8+ years in. The technology was actually invented almost a decade ago now. Hundreds of doctors all around the globe using it, swear by it. It's the only curcumin-based products that they will carry in their clinics once they've tried it based on the results they see with their patient populations. Adam, I pulled up some really interesting headlines here that I just got to throw your way, because we've had some stem cell conversations recently, right? So number one, every study I pulled up, other than maybe one or two, cited poor bioavailability. So we've already talked about the superior technology.
Well, they obviously don't know about UltraCur.
They don't, and that's absolutely right. But so get some of these types of headlines, Adam. Get this. Stem cell therapy. Curcumin does the trick. Some of the predominant activities of stem cells include regeneration of identical cells and the ability to maintain the proliferation and multipotentiality. However, these cells can be stimulated to differentiate into specific cell types. Curcumin protects some stem cells from toxicity and stimulates proliferation and differentiation of stem cells. What?
Yeah.
Because I know we talk about supporting some of these things in immune function, and we have to be very careful about that. But when I typed in stem cells and curcumin on PubMed, do you know what I found over and over and over and over? Neurodegenerative diseases, neuroprotective enhancement, over and over and over. And they kept tying it back to CSC, cancer stem cells. They kept tying it back to that. What's the buzz there? What's going on?
Curcumin is, so we know about curcumin and inflammation. So let's talk about that. Why is curcumin such a magical ingredient in the human body? What the effect that most people are experiencing, especially with our product, is when curcumin gets to a cell, it actually has pleiotropic activity. Pleiotropic meaning it does a whole bunch of different things.
Such a diverse and broad range of things. Such a diverse and broad range.
Curcumin is, which is one of the reasons why curcumin is so hard to measure in the human blood, because it sticks to everything.
And it modulates these signaling pathways, right?
Okay. So curcumin has a number of different things. Curcumin has a whole bunch of different things that it definitely has an affinity towards. One of those things is something called NF-kappa beta. And this is something that has been studied in a lot of the papers out there. So if you type in NF-kappa beta, which is NF-KB, NF-kappa beta is a weird name for the inflammation signaling hub inside of a cell. NF-kappa beta is it's the 911 dialing system for all the cells in the body. When it is activated, the cell is calling 911 saying it is under stress, it is under attack, it needs help. And curcumin is one of the only molecules that is a perfect key to the NF-kappa beta process. In other words, if you get curcumin inside the cell, it actually will slow down the signaling of the 911 system. Now, that's not always a benefit.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's times.
But in the cases when you're trying to slow down or modulate the inflammation signaling process, like when we get older, and the threshold of when our joints are going to say, hey, I need help, is much lower because of accumulated damage, it's in those cases that we want to slow down that signal. Now, it's a twofold effect.
Right. But would it be a true statement to say that there seems to be a overactive or a higher level of activity on that fight or flight 911 signal, especially as we age? And so that's why when curcumin comes in, it does what?
It modulates that signal. It definitely tempers the signal. And that's what we want, because all over our body as we age, the threshold for calling up, dialing the 911 emergency line is much, much lower because we have accumulated damage in our joints. Just walking across the room can cause our joints to say, hey, send in the cavalry. And we don't want that.
And you don't want the cavalry because you want the people coming in to rebuild rather than the ones to pick a fight.
Here's where curcumin really plays its magic. Not only does curcumin slow down the 911 system, but it also, we talked about pleiotropic effects, it activates mesenchymal stem cells. So it causes this transition from I need to attack something, which is the primary focus of the immune system, send in the fighter
let's
white blood cells.
Let's blow up this old building.
Right, the
so
neutrophils.
That's the first one.
Right, you get hit by a baseball, right, that bump, that's not water. That's millions of immune cells that have literally migrated through the capillaries into those tissues. And so what we want to do is slow down that attack reaction, and we want to activate the rebuild, restore, recover reaction.
Nice.
It's the difference between calling in the National Guard to prevent looting after a flood to calling in the civil engineers to rebuild the damage that was caused.
Yeah. We blew up some buildings, now we're going to put some new ones
so
back.
Curcumin, it tempers the 911, and it activates mesenchymal stem cells. And the mesenchymal stem cells are the stem cells that are responsible for rebuilding connective tissue, muscle, tendons, ligaments,
well, quite
joints.
frankly, everything, because the mesenchymal stem cells are what we hear about when we're talking about cord blood stem cells and all of that. So they have this unique ability and affinity, as you said, being pleiotropic, being able to kind of go and do wherever they're needed.
And this is why guys like Joe Parita, who is like the guy in stem cell therapy. If you look up stem cell therapy, Joe Parita has one of the biggest centers in the world. He is a key opinion leader of key opinion leaders in stem cells. He treats everybody that he's going to do stem cell therapy on with our curcumin because he knows that we temper the action of the 911 system, and our curcumin activates mesenchymal stem cells, which are these cells responsible for building new tissue in the body.
Adam, I don't have the headlines up. I wish I'd grabbed them, but you know what you said that was so interesting just then? I found multiple studies that talked about the use of curcumin along with certain drugs because the curcumin would have a activating effect that would even enhance the ability of certain drugs they were experimenting with.
There's so many different things out there like this.
Reducing toxicity at the same time. So again, it's doing the yin and the yang, which is pretty cool.
It's kind of endless. It really is.
It is. So I remember getting a phone call from a cardiologist. I believe he was in Missouri, Adam, and this was our early days.
Missouri.
Yeah, Missouri. Show me, right? Show me state. And he mentioned something about the heart, and he mentioned something about being able to measure oxidative stress in the heart and how thrilled he was to have discovered UltraCur. We weren't even using the Pro version at the time.
Wow, that was that long ago,
But then, you start typing in, as I challenged our viewers to do earlier, type in any organ system in curcumin on the government website, pubmed.gov, and I challenge you to see if it's not actually demonstrating benefit to the lungs, benefit to the heart, benefit to the kidneys, benefit to the liver. You just keep going on and on and on and on down the list. It's remarkable. What's this whole connection with oxidative stress and curcumin?
Well, I mean, curcumin...
Because oxidative stress affects everything, especially as we're aging.
Curcumin is actually a pleiotropic effect, is a powerful antioxidant also. It modulates reactive oxygen species, and it will correct free radicals that have been expressed in different tissues. More importantly, people that take our product will see a drop in their C-reactive protein levels.
Which is just an overall, it's a test done through a blood draw that's just basically a measure of a subset of inflammatory markers all over the body, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the C-reactive protein is the one that cardiologists monitor quite regularly. It is a measurement of vascular inflammation. That's the inflammation that's going on inside of our circulation. And it's the bad inflammation, because activated vascular inflammation is the inflammation that causes plaque formation inside of our vessels. And it's primarily happening through foam cells and the lipoprotein LDL particles. It's the oxidated LDL particles that become foam cells that then become plaque.
The bad guys.
The plaque inside of our arteries and in our veins. And that's absolutely what we want to avoid. Curcumin is one of the best supplements for long-term healthy cardiovascular health.
So I'm going to throw out a couple of more headlines. We'll start in on one of them, but we only have a couple minutes left in this segment. And by the way, for those listening by radio, this is week 2 for radio, but for those that are viewing us in a podcast format.
We're doing a dumpster dive into curcumin here. It's
are.
Long overdue. This is way long overdue.
It is. So here was something I found really fascinating, Adam, and it now is making more sense to me when you talk about this 911 call, which the body can get stuck in overdrive there, and then it becomes dangerous. And as we age, it's even worse. But then you talked about restorative, renewing, regenerative effects of curcumin. I found a couple of fascinating studies. One was talking about acute kidney injury.
Oh, wow.
And how curcumin begins to modulate the signaling pathways in acute kidney injury to help turn that around. And then I stumbled right into liver injury as well, and fatty liver disease and a whole host of things along those lines. And it's just like, this is crazy good.
Curcumin, because of its inflammation modulating activity, it reduces the injury that happens through all of these different mechanisms. Most injury happens through an activated immune system. Activated immune cells are the most damaging mechanism to cause any kind of damage. Kidney, liver, brain, any kind of tissue. Immune cells cause huge damage when they're activated.
You are listening to Adam Payne, CEO of Ultra Botanica, lead inventor of our technology called LPS, Liquid Protein Scaffold. We will be right back to wrap this up, and I guess we've only kind of scratched the surface. You're listening to Ultra Life Today. I'm Josh Bellieu. We'll be right back.
Adam Payne, thanks for joining us. Our mission is to take nature's most beloved botanicals and enhance them with our liquid protein scaffold technology. This helps it reach your cells faster and better. With exponentially enhanced bioavailability, you'll feel better every day. Ultra Botanica, the feel-good curcumin.
Welcome back to Ultra Life Today. A fascinating conversation. I was able to get this guy next to me called Adam Payne to like
cornered
turn
me.
his phone off
He
and
cornered
come
me.
into the office here and talk a little bit. I did corner you, and this has been a really fun one today. We'll be grabbing some other topics along the way in the future and doing some more of this, Adam, rather than always just having expert testimony come in. But you kind of function in the expert testimony arena when it comes to inflammation in the body. You know, a lot of people don't even know that you've got a background as an inflammatory marker researcher in your previous life.
Yeah.
You and your partner there actually developed what's kind of the worldwide standard for rheumatoid arthritis testing.
Yep, the Vectra.
The Vectra. So that's pretty fascinating stuff as well. You know, I ran across another interesting study, and when we were on the break here, I mentioned NRF2 pathway in the body, and I mentioned the HO-1 pathway. You're going to find this really interesting, Adam. They actually had a study done on rats. For you animal activists, we didn't do this study. They induced intracerebral hemorrhage in rats.
Ew.
And then, through the introduction of curcumin, they activated the NRF2 pathway and the HO-1 pathway, and they were literally able to protect the brains of these rats from the damage that they had induced. Now that says a mouthful. You could go in so many directions there, but what's a NRF2 pathway? What's an HO-1 pathway? And what are they doing in
I'm
the
not very
body?
familiar with the HO-1 pathway.
okay.
So, but the NRF2 is the phase 2 detoxification pathway. It's NRF2. It's responsible for essentially detoxifying the cellular milieu around a cell. If it really comes into play for us as humans, if we are genetically unbalanced. And there's a great reference on this is Deanna Wyndham and Keith Bishop for that matter.
Sure.
Right? So for most of us are genetically in balance on the phase 1 detoxification and the phase 2 detoxification. These are two different systems that work hand in hand to remove the wastes of our Krebs cycle, that when we're making ATP, we're creating exhaust. That exhaust is free radicals that get generated.
Adenosine triphosphate, the energy of the cell.
The
right?
energy of the cell. The mitochondria develop all these free radicals as a result of creating energy. And it's the natural result is that we create free radicals. And then all of the other biological processes where ATP is used, free radicals will be generated in that context. And so there needs to be a balance between the phase 1 detoxification process and the phase 2 detoxification process. For those of us that are genetically maybe a little recessive on the phase 2 detoxification, we need a little bit of an extra boost. We would have symptoms of the lack of phase 2 detoxification would be the emergence of autoimmune diseases, of different, could be overweight, it could be a high CRP, it could be all sorts of things. And it will even be more pronounced if we live in a smoggy or toxic environment, where the environment is contributing to more environmental toxins. If we are low on our phase 2 enzymes, then adding in a NRF2 activator will actually help bring us back into balance.
So again, it comes back to this unique ability of curcumin to modulate these signaling pathways in the body. So it shows up, and as you said, it has this unique affinity, if you can get it in the bloodstream, of just going crazy, going everywhere. And
you might
right?
not know whether you are NRF2 if your phase 2 is out of balance with phase 1, or if you are living in a toxic environment. Did you grow up? Do you work around chemicals? Do you work in a toxic environment? And I'm not talking about emotionally toxic. I'm talking about an environment where there's mold, or whether there's a lot of environmental issues, toxins that you're breathing into your body, smoke, inhalation, smog, all that stuff. If you are phase 2 deficient, your body will accumulate these toxins in the cells because it can't process it. If you want to get a good read on whether you are phase 2 deficient, go out and get a product that we make called Ultra Broc.
Oh, that's right.
Ultra Broc is a combination of broccoli seed extract, which has been studied for its ability to activate phase 2 detoxification through the NRF2 pathway, and our bioavailable curcumin, UltraCur.
And it's stimulating the body's ability to elevate that master antioxidant in the body,
so
right?
both
Glutathione, right?
Glutathione,
Yeah.
exactly. That's the
Okay.
master antioxidant. And curcumin activates NRF2 uniquely in one pathway going into it. Broccoli seed extract does it from a different side. So we're getting a double activation of NRF2. If you are deficient and you take Ultra Broc, which is this combination, you'll feel a little bit sick after you take the product.
Yeah, I do have to mention to people, because this is very helpful. A lot of people over the years, it's called a healing crisis, people. It's called a Herxheimer reaction. Let me tell you a few little signals of a Herxheimer reaction. You may get a headache. You may have loose stools. You may have a little nausea in the stomach. You
feel like you got the flu.
You could even potentially itch. You could develop a low-grade fever. You could feeling like you've got the flu symptoms. Now, here's the cool thing about anything that you're taking that is potentiating a detoxifying or a Herxheimer reaction. You start off slowly. You know, a lot of people are like, if one's good, 8 is great. You know, don't do it that way. Like we coach people, Adam, when they're taking the Ultra Broc. Start off with 1 capsule the first day, and don't take it when you first wake up in the morning. Wait until lunchtime. Take it with that second meal of the day. If you do well on 1 capsule and no Herxheimer reaction, be brave, go 2 capsules the next day. And just gently build it up until you're doing that 2 capsules twice a day.
Absolutely.
You do that, and then I like people, Adam, to do these types of detoxifies, and you can get it with Ultra Defense and the olive leaf extract as well, is I like to see people do them about 3 times a year.
I do it twice a year. So every 6 months, I'm
a 4-month guy.
Oh, okay. All right.
Our
I hear
environment is toxic.
Yeah, that's
it's
right. Just
crazy.
hanging around me, it's toxic.
Well, it's busy. I will say that.
It is.
It's
Well,
a lot. It's a lot of plate spinning.
I
and
do it
juggling.
every 6 months.
But yeah.
I've been doing the Ultra Broc about every 6 months, and then I'm cycling in Sinultra, which has some really interesting ingredients that are new, like Fisetin and the quercetin, which are very, very powerful modulating compounds for the human body. And we're not even going to be able to talk about that yet.
Well, we do have a few minutes. So since you brought up Fisetin, so a lot of you out there that listen to integrative and functional medicine specialists, you know a little bit about people prescribing drugs in an off-label capacity. You've probably heard this buzzword of rapamycin. I've even met conventional doctors, Adam, that are really intrigued about rapamycin because there's been some studies done out there, and they're kind of hailing it as this new anti-aging, turn the biological clock back miracle, right?
Are they using
And
it?
well, yes, as a matter of fact, some of these actual conventional doctors are getting scripts for rapamycin and using it. Yeah. So it's actually had a weird effect of crossing over from, it's hitting the conventional
Really?
doctors as quickly as it's hitting integrative doctors, right? It's interesting, right?
Very interesting.
Right. But our good friend Joe Parita, godfather of stem cell therapy out of Florida, Adam was mentioning him earlier, key opinion leader to key opinion leaders in this space. He'd been bugging Adam for quite some time about ingredients
Over a
like
year.
spermidine and Fisetin and things. Well, Adam
Apple
got
extract.
the brilliant idea of seeing if Fisetin, this unique compound we're going to discuss in just a second, what is Fisetin's ability to absorb in the body. Guess what?
so-
Not good, right?
So it just so happens,
you tested
Josh.
it out on our LPS.
Right. So there's a whole class of bioactive plant compounds called polyphenols that
And some
don't
others we've learned now.
and
isoquinolones, flavonols.
Right, flavonols.
Yeah.
Most flavonoids are polyphenols. Not all flavonoids are polyphenols, but most are. It's by a class. Most polyphenolic compounds are poorly absorbed in the body. They when they get extracted, they bind to themselves, form a crystal. They're insoluble. It's like swallowing quartz crystals expecting that you're going to get silicone into the body. It just doesn't work that way.
And I have to say this real quick. That's why we've branched off into things like EGCG, green tea extract, resveratrol,
Right.
played around with coenzyme Q for a future product.
Yep.
All of these are poorly absorbed. Berberine, poorly absorbed. Quercetin, poorly absorbed.
Right, and guess what? Fisetin, one of the most elegant and interesting new polyphenols out in the marketplace, one of the most expensive polyphenols. It's like $1,500 a kilogram for Fisetin, not cheap. And it's been studied for its ability to actually work. It works as well as rapamycin in causing senescent cells in the body.
Zombie cells.
Zombie
They're
cells
not doing good things. They're actually doing bad things, looking for a fight.
These senescent cells are taking up space. If I look at a 20-year-old skin tissue and I look at a 60-year-old skin tissue, the only difference, well, one of the biggest difference is the number of senescent cells in the 20-year-old versus the 60-year-old. There's also some collagen differences, but primarily it's the presence of senescent cells in the body, which is why most of these anti-aging doctors are so excited about this idea that rapamycin can actually cause these senescent cells to die.
Now, is it two roles? We've got autophagy or autophagy, the tomato thing, and then you've also got apoptosis, right?
So autophagy is what you want to...
Explain those to us.
So autophagy is when you activate a senescent cell, you want to cause it either to recycle itself, in other words, to renew parts of it that are maybe worn out, and that's called autophagy. Autophagy is a very powerful process. You're actually causing the cell to rebuild part of its architecture.
Your body basically repairs the soldier from the triage and then sends it back out into the world to fight again.
And
fight
there's a determination that's made as autophagy is being activated that maybe the cell is just too damaged, in which case a process called apoptosis is activated, and that's the recycling of the whole cell. The cell
that's
actually
cell death, right?
It's one of the forms of cell death.
But then the body does have to clear it, right?
Well, it's actually the most friendly version of cell death, because what the body's doing is it chops up all of the components of that cell and makes it all of those parts usable by the human body to be absorbed and to be recycled by the cells in our body. So apoptosis is one form of recycling, autophagy is another, and Fisetin is one of the most exciting compounds that is known to activate autophagy and or activate apoptosis in senescent cells. The problem is it's so expensive. And the other problem is it doesn't absorb. It has the same problem as curcumin. And guess what? Our LPS technology works wonders on Fisetin. So we're the only company that's enabled Fisetin in the marketplace. It's so exciting what we've done. We've made a whole formulation called Ultra, which includes Fisetin and a whole slew of other ingredients, each known to activate or to help to clear or recycle senescent cells.
Okay, you've been listening to Adam Payne, CEO of Ultra Botanica. I'm Josh Bellieu. This is Ultra Life Today. A quick recap. Guess what? Curcumin doesn't get into the body well. Curcumin is one of the most widely studied plant bioactive compounds in the world.
22,000.
22,400, and then 25,500, I think, with turmeric and curcumin together. We've got a unique technology called LPS technology that enables these plant bioactives that are polyphenols, some flavonols, isoquinolones, to get in the body at elevated levels that produce results that are measurable by doctors and by you, the recipient of these wonderful things. We're going to be back. We didn't cover, can curcumin work for cats and dogs? It can, by the way. Black pepper, people, don't be fooled. It's not a smart thing to include black pepper, and it's actually included in multiple supplements, not just curcumin. You could be getting way too much of that, causing problems. Adam, it's been a blast to hang out today.
We're going to have to do this again.
So anyway, so Ultra Life Today, wherever you find podcasts, you can find us. If you want to learn more about our technology, go to ultratoday.com, ultratoday.com. We're all over the United States. We're in natural grocers and different health food stores, all over pharmacies and doctors' offices. Find us there.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.